Good morning, everybody. We are going to jump in to Genesis 6 and 7 today. And let's see. So we are reading through a Bible.com reading plan, 1-year chronological plan. It's been super awesome so far. We're on day 4 and we've got a whole year ahead of us. So we are going to hop into Genesis 6 and Genesis 7. If you are just joining us, we have our chat here in Twitch. Please feel free to use that. Say hello, let me know you're here. And if you have any comments, any thoughts, any questions, anything at all, please feel free to use the chat. I love to see what you guys are thinking and would like to share. If you have any verses to cross-reference or anything like that, anytime, just pop in there and give me a holler. And we are just going to hop into Genesis 6 right here. We are on the NIV version. Wickedness in the world. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. And another version of this would be, Then the Lord said, My spirit will not remain with the humans forever. So I thought that was an interesting kind of clarification. And another translation for they are mortal would be corrupt. So mortal would mean corrupt, and that kind of goes back to and ties into yesterday's verses where we're talking about how God, part of God's punishment for the first sin was that humans would eventually die, and humans were intended to be immortal like God is, but because of the first sin, now we are mortal or corrupt. So that goes hand in hand with that. So this translation is actually very important. Mortal here also means corrupt because of the first sin. So that's actually very interesting. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth, so make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I am going to bring flood waters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it, everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird and every kind of animal and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. Genesis 7. The Lord then said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, and a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made." And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters came on the earth, and Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds, and of all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days the floodwaters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. The rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, so sorry, hiccups, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. Every living thing that moved on land perished: birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that move along the ground and the birds were wiped from the earth. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Only Noah was left and those with him in the ark. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. I apologize, I am sleepy today. Okay, so I had a few notes. God gave humankind free will to choose to walk with him, living holy and righteous lives, or to turn away. So God gave us free will, and that free will basically gave us a choice to either walk with God, which actually is literally translated to how we live, right? Walking with God, walking with Jesus is it's a term used to explain how we live, and God calls us to live holy and righteous lives. The other choice is to turn away from God. Humans turned away into so much sin that God could not bear to leave them in their sins. He provided a way for redemption through the ark that Noah built, and again, ultimately through Jesus. So he washed all the sin away, and basically, if you think about it in a way, baptized the whole earth, got rid of all the sin, and he provided a way of redemption through Noah and Noah's family. He saved them because they were righteous and holy, and then they were called to repopulate the earth. And then again, of course, the ultimate redemption is through Jesus and everything that he did for us, crucified, rose again, and is now in heaven making a place for all of us. Um, so God wiped away all the sin and was so distraught by all the sin that had occurred in the world. He wiped it all out and then he redeems us. My biggest takeaway is that we should all strive to be a faithful servant like Noah was. When disaster strikes, will we be the sinners washed away because of our sin, or will we be the righteous that God lifts up and blesses? That's like the biggest thing to take away here, at least for me. Like that's the biggest thing to take away is are you going to be the Noah or are you going to be everybody else that gets left behind? And that's actually, something, another way to think about that is um, the righteous are the few, right? There there are so many people like those who got washed away in the flood. Unfortunately that's a majority of the world, and God is trying to, he's not trying, he's doing. Um, he is sending all of us out and calling on us um, to be the voice for him so that, he can use us to get to these people so that they don't get, so to speak, washed away in their own flood. Because that's not what we want to happen. We want to be able to save as many people as we can save. Um, and are we going to be the faithful servants like Noah was and do as we were told by God and be faithful to him? Or are we going to be those people that um, have chosen to live in sin and get washed away from God? God is in control. The great flood to me is an example of what it feels like to be cast out or to be held close by God depending on our faithfulness. When I am more faithful, I feel led by and closer to God. Before I came into close relationship with God, I remember the feeling of sheer panic all the time, never ending. Fear over everything, never feeling love or grace or mercy. When the flood came, God washed away my sin like a baptism of the earth. So, the flood still has significance, not just, as this huge, washing away of all the people of the earth except for Noah's family. Like, obviously, that's huge and significant in itself, but it also has um, significance to us now, where, when we are living in sin, we are living in chaos and we don't know the peace of God, the love of God. And let me find the verse. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. And I mean, I remember very well what it felt like to not be in close relationship with God, and I was full of sin. And I can look back now and I can say, wow, like everything that I felt, everything that I thought, every way that I saw things, um, was absolutely pure evil. It was horrible. It was miserable. And that is what it's like when you are far away from God, when you separate yourself from God. Um, but when you are redeemed, you are filled with light, you are filled with love, and you are saved. And I imagine that that's what it would have felt like when Noah and his family got to take off the top. We'll read about that tomorrow. They got to take off the top of the ark and see dry land, and they got to start new, and it was all, it was all fresh. And excuse me, and God made a new covenant with them, renewed the covenant that he had made with humankind, he renewed that with Noah and his family. Um, and that is what it feels like. That is what it is when we trust in the Lord for the first time, is he is renewing a covenant with us. And when we continue to trust God, he continues to carry us and bless us. And that covenant is a reminder that he's going to take care of us. We are in his family. So it's definitely a good session today. And then tomorrow we are going to jump into Genesis 8, 9, and then Psalm 12. And it's a really good one. So this will kind of go through the next steps of Noah's journey. And then in Psalms, it's another section I love about this chronological plan, is it pulls stories throughout the Bible together, so ones that are relevant. It ties them together, and we get to read them all together in one day. So that's super cool. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to catch up, we have a link at the bottom of the current plan section here on the Twitch. It says join us in our current plan, and you can link right over to that, to this plan, which would be super cool if you want to join us there. But thanks for joining us today. I hope you have a good day.